Question 1 by Finn Miller. In today's video I'm going to be talking about the various ways my products have met conventions and also challenged conventions. But before I do this, I'll give you an insight into my target audience. My target audience is young adults and older teens. The demographic for this audience doesn't really matter, as I believe my products would appeal to both middle and working class backgrounds. For the psychographic, I would say that my audience would be both male and female from various cultural backgrounds with all different body types. I believe that my product would appeal to people with many different hobbies, interests and spending habits. This is very common in the rap genre. So now that I've talked about my target audience, I will now talk about how my products appeal to my target audience. The first thing I used to appeal to my target audience was my choice of costume. I kept my costumes very conventional for British rap, using various high-end designer labels, puffer jackets, and I also tried to keep the colours minimal. I did this because British rap videos tend to try to keep it real, so you would never see abstract costumes worn by actors in a British rap. Instead, you would see clothing worn by everyday people who have an interest in fashion. However, I did challenge costume conventions in various scenes by having Gabriel and Toby dressed in a more formal manner. Toby only wore this costume when he was at Gabriel's mansion. This was a way to show that it wasn't a typical location for people who come from a working class stereotypical British rap background. And Gabriel could be seen dressed like this in various scenes, even ones where the group was back in the working class roots. This is to show that despite being rich, the money hasn't changed Gabriel, which is a common message in British rap videos, which links back to the theme of trying to keep it real. Another thing I used to appeal to my target audience was my various shooting locations. I used three main locations, which were the mansion, the streets, and the family tree, which was a forest. All of these locations have some appeal to the audience. For example, the mansion is a stereotypical aspiration of my target audience, and the streets are somewhere they can relate to. These two locations are very common in the British rap genre. However, I did challenge conventions by using a forest, as this is a more stereotypical pop or even rock location, but I used it as a symbolic message to show that the actors are family, hence the family tree. The camera angles are also very appealing to the target audience, as they are very conventional for the British rap genre, which makes it instantly recognisable as a British rap video. One common convention within the camera angles is that there tends to be a variety of shots and angles. For example, I have various close-up shots throughout the music video, and I also have multiple aerial shots throughout. For body language, I tried to keep the actors' body language and dancing as natural as I could. This is very conventional for British rap, as they'd never have choreographed dance, as it is always as natural as it can be. Now that I've talked about how I attracted my target audience, I will now talk about each of my products individually and how they challenged and followed conventions. Firstly, my music video. I've briefly talked about some of the various codes and conventions that I used in my video, but in this section I'll talk about it more in depth. For my music video, I tried to keep it as conventional as possible with slight challenges, such as my use of multicultural, multi-gendered group of actors. This is different to most British rap videos, as they typically feature just a group of black males. I wanted my music video to feel more inclusive, hence why I chose the actors that I did. Another convention that I challenged was that I kept and maintained a positive image and message throughout the video. This isn't common for a British rap video, as they typically portray unhealthy and unsafe lifestyles, such as drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, taking drugs and not abiding the law, and much more. However, in my attempt to make a music video that was appealing to a wider audience, I decided to clean it up. I know that this is something that the artist of Family Tree wanted to do, so I kept it within the themes of Rams's song. Now that I've talked about how I challenged conventions, I will now talk about how I followed them. The first convention that I used was I had the name of the song at the start of my music video. However, I opted out of putting the artist's name in the title and instead added the director's logo. The next convention I followed is that my music video was shorter than 5 minutes. My music video comes to 3 minutes 24, so this is an ideal viewing time for my target audience, meaning that it isn't too long or isn't too short. This is typical for most British rap videos. Another convention that I followed was having a consistent theme. This is one of the biggest conventions of a thematic music video, and I believe that my theme of family and friendship was kept throughout my music video. I used a lot of unusual camera work and editing. This is a convention that I have used in various places in my music video, such as the start when I have 3 actors walk down a driveway and then play the same shot in reverse. I've also tried to use an array of camera work, even some shots being filmed by drone. This is quite common for British rap. Another key convention is that I advertise a lot of brands. This is something I did throughout my music video. Some of the most notable brands being Nike, Kenzo, Stone Island and Adidas. Although this wasn't paid promotion, I did still want it to look like paid promotion, such as the ones done in Ladbroke Grove for A Jewellers. Another convention is I always had a group of actors. As mentioned, I tried to keep Gabriel, the main artist, with a group around him. This is commonly done in British rap to show that the artist keeps it real and hangs with their friends. As mentioned, British rappers try to keep it real. The artists try to show that they are still with the same people despite having money and fame. I tried to show this by having Gabriel seen with a massive house and luxury cars with his group of friends, and also having me in the streets with no fancy cars, but with the same group of friends, thus showing he hasn't changed because of the money and the fame. Another convention that I used that is slightly less common is that I had a multicultural group of actors. I did this so that I had a larger target audience so that my music video felt more inclusive, unlike those I researched in the pop and rock genre. The final convention that I followed in my music video was my use of costume. I had all my actors wear costumes that would be seen in British rap videos so that it had a feel to it, and I believe I did a good job of this through my choice of colours and choice of brands and styles. I also tried to make sure that my colour scheme was conventional and similar to those of a British rap video. I tried to have 2 different feels to my music video to show the emotions of my actors more cohesively. I did this by having scenes at the mansion to be more glossy and bright to show the level of success that the main actor feels. Then for the shots on the street, I wanted them to have a more blue and colder tone to them, which through editing and the weather, I believe I achieved. These colour schemes are very conventional for a British rap video, as they typically depict the streets as cold places and places such as mansions as typically more vibrant and colourful places. I tried to keep these colours throughout the music video by having the cars and clothes match their environment. For example, on the streets I used blue cars, whereas in the mansion I used a lime green Lamborghini. Aside from emotions, another reason why I decided to use the colour schemes that I did was because these are the colours that my target audience would typically be attracted by. They wouldn't see the appeal in vibrant, colourful music videos such as pop, as British rap tends to be for a more mature audience. Another small part of my music video in which I followed conventions was my choice of font. I chose a bold, easy to read, professional looking font which was similar to those of British rap music videos. My next major product was my website. The main focus of my website was marketing. However, by adding things such as a blog and a photo album, I think that my website could also act as a fan base. Marketing and promotion is usually the go-to for British rap artists when deciding the purpose of their website. However, I really wanted to incorporate a fan base element, which was challenging the conventions, as this is typically done by pop and rock websites. I tried to keep my website very conventional aside from incorporating the fanbase elements. In this section I will talk about all the conventions in which I've used. Having links to social media pages is a common convention for almost every artist's website, as this is how an audience will interact and contact a musician. Having links to social media is also very useful nowadays, as most people check their social medias at least once a day, so this will be better than relying on coming back to the website each day to look for new content. I also made a point of having a separate blog page so that there is a live feed that will change every time I post anything to my blog. Another convention I followed was I promoted tour dates. This is crucial for all artists, as this allows fans to hear about when and where their favourite artists will be performing. I had it so that there would be a whole page dedicated to tour promotion, and I have made it clear where the show is, when the show is, and if I've got prices for the tickets on the site. This is quite unusual for a lot of artists, as they usually have pricing managed by third-party sources. Having a sense of branding is another major convention of British rap websites. I believe that I have done a good job of promoting my brand throughout the webpage, making it clear and distinct throughout. This is obviously Lil Draft Productions. Another not so common convention is promoting merchandise. This is one thing I really liked when looking at the Red Hot Chili Peppers website, who are a rock band. So I thought that would be nice to incorporate this into my website, although this isn't really a common convention in the British rap industry. Promoting newly released music is an essential part of a webpage. This not only helps generate sales for the music, but it also increases views on the YouTube version of the video. One problem with a lot of British rap websites is they don't let you preview the music on the website. Instead, they send you to other websites such as Apple Music and Spotify. I didn't like that, so I made sure that all my music was available to listen to on site and in full. I also made it so that you can purchase any of the tracks in the album through the website instead of just referring you to another source, as I thought this was increased sales made through the website. Another convention that I follow is my use of dark colour. One convention that I found when looking at British rap websites was that the colour schemes were very dark. I liked this style and thought that it would be a good idea to incorporate this style into my own website. These colours also appeal to my target audience of older youths and young adults, so both went hand in hand. Overall, my website was very conventional, and in my opinion this is similar to those of the British rap genre. The final product that I created was the Digipack. I created my Digipack after asking my target audience what they would want to see, and I also tried to ensure that it followed the conventions that I found in my research. I did this so that all my products were conventional and so that it suited my target audience. As mentioned, I tried to keep my product conventional. Here's how I did it. Firstly, the name of the album is clearly displayed at the top of the cover. It is easy to read, and the name of the production company is also clearly displayed in the bottom left-hand corner. This is an alternative to the artist's name. I also had a parental advisory check. This is a common convention in most British rap albums, and despite my content not being explicit, I believe that it makes my album cover look more realistic, so for these reasons I added it to my front cover. Another convention is to have a track list. This is a list that shows all the songs on the album. It tends to be on the back of the Digipack. This is so that people can pick it up and simply read which songs are there. This is a fairly common convention on almost every Digipack, regardless of genre. So, in conclusion, I believe that I did a good job of keeping my products conventional. However, when I found things that I wasn't impressed by, I changed them. But I didn't change them to the point where it became unconventional. I also think I did a good job of making my products appeal to my target audience in every aspect. Although I feel if I was to do these products again, I would ask my target audience for their support before I completed the products, not after, as this would have been more time effective. Lastly, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my products.